The Giggleland demo takes us on a terrifying and dark journey through Terry's Vegetable Patch, a location inside the Giggleland theme park. But what does it all mean? Who was watching us, and what is the overall story it's trying to tell? Well, make sure to stick around for the video and subscribe as we uncover the story hidden within this demo. The demo opens with an announcer telling the player that Farmer Terry is in dire need of our help. We need to restore the farm to its former glory. He emphasizes that all life on the farm is important and needs to be protected. Everything from the animals to the plants to the children. So the player interacts with the diorama, and when doing so we are given our tasks. First, we need to keep the children at their best to make them happy, and to do this we need to give them something that they like: sugar. So our first task is to find sugar. After finding it, we send it through the correct tube and return to the diorama. The children are happy now. Next is to fix the farm equipment by getting it the gas it needs to power through the night. So just like the sugar, we take the gas and send it through the correct tube. Upon returning to the diorama, things start to change and the audio begins to glitch out. The animals are next, so we grab the food in the barn and are told to feed him. The player then heads to a back room that has a massive basement door with stairs leading into darkness. We are met with a long eerie hall followed by a red room and a locked up box. Inside this box is presumably an animal, or maybe even Elliot, but it's unknown. We feed it and return to the diorama. Next up, the crops. But the weeds are beginning to grow, which would taint the harvest. So we need to find the pesticides to stop the weeds from growing. While looking, you'll notice the barn is covered in caution tapes and police sirens. You will also notice a missing persons poster for a boy named Isaac. Keep this in mind because it will make sense later in the video. After using the pesticides and saving the crops, we return to the diorama one last time. Then the lights cut out and the room changes. We see more caution tape, missing person posters of Isaac, and just an overall strange scene. Now you probably also noticed after each task completed, the room was slowly starting to change. Strange dark figures were appearing on the walls as well as writing. Altogether, the writing reads, "He holds the child's hand and brings him to the sleepy garden. He struck the disobedient claw that aimed to stop his fate. He holds up his hands and prepares for the final act. The child breathes his last. The flowers begin to bloom." This is telling a story of sacrifice. A child atoning for his actions. He will be awakened anew. Like I said before, I'll explain this more later in the video. Now the player finds the secret staff exit, and this is where the demo takes a big turn. We are inside the corridors of Terry's Vegetable Patch and make our way through the vents. We come across a meeting room as Elliot tells us not to worry, he is always watching. The room was used for presumably brainstorming ideas for the theme park. While inside of it, we find a note. It tells us a little about Terry. He was a script writer and editor for the park. However, when he edited a script, he would rewrite it to be horrific. And they've even gotten worse. These are not good for the kids. Terry then teased something great that was going to happen soon, something that will help. With the next note, things start to get dark. It explains a story from Terry's childhood. The story was about a young farmer trying to feed his animals. When the animals were plump, they'd be slaughtered and shared with the small village nearby. However, the grass was dry and no amount of water could grow food for the animals. The animals became thin and died within days. The villagers began to starve, and some would not make it through the night. The farmer thought for a long time and realized there was something he could give. He went to the village and gave the leader his sickle. He asked to be cut open so his meat could feed the villagers, and his blood to seep into his crops. So the villagers cut him open and ate his remains. With his blood, they poured it onto the crops. Within days, the crops began to bloom and produce fruit and vegetables. This was a story about sacrifice, giving up a life to make others better. The farmer sacrificed himself so the people of the village could survive off his meat, and his blood allowed the crops to grow. The note then explains how the lesson here was what truly mattered. A lesson Terry was preparing to enact. A lesson where one person's selflessness would bring joy to the rest. The third note talks about how Terry was teaching the young kids the basics of gardening. The person who was writing these notes followed Terry into the barn and pointed out a few boxes. But Terry said he would show them what's inside later in private. When this person left, they noticed Terry was watching one boy in particular, a boy named Isaac. The fourth fourth note reveals the horrific reality of what was going to happen to Isaac. Terry opened one of those boxes and revealed a set of old-looking knives, like a sickle from the old story. Terry then took one of the knives and swiped it across his finger. He began to bleed, and it made him giddy. He then opened a cellar door, which showed a stone and a bunch of meat hooks hanging on the walls. The person asked why he brought them to the slaughter hall. This made Terry laugh uncontrollably, saying this wasn't a room for animals. It's a new project he's trying, something that has to do with that boy Isaac, a project where the selflessness of one will benefit them all. The last note explains how this person was trying to find Isaac to help him escape from Terry. However, they were unsuccessful. You see, these notes were telling the story that was shown through the room changing in Terry's vegetable patch. A young boy named Isaac that was taken into the barn and sacrificed by Terry for the sake of selflessness. Terry believed that by sacrificing this boy, joy would be brought to everyone else. This explains the police sirens, the caution tape, and the missing person posters. Isaac was killed by Terry, the leader of an evil cult. Even the writing on the walls, it outlines the events of Isaac's death, and all the shadow figures are a part of this cult. Furthermore, the entire diorama was a metaphor for the story Terry told from his childhood. It's pretty dark once you really think about it. Following these notes, the player finds a mysterious room and a piece of paper. I will talk about these in a moment. The demo ends as Tolly enters a room and we see what I think could be Terry's house. The lights cut out and a bag with a body inside drops down. It's unknown who this kid could be. Another kid, Ella, or maybe Isaac. Honestly, I'm not sure, and I think it's supposed to be ambiguous. Either way, we turn around to see Elliot as he closes the door and it fades to black. Now, let's talk about this room. Everything inside is focused on us, the player. You can see your own Steam profile picture as well as your friends. There is even a monitor with your actual computer background on it. Whoever was in this room is targeting us. Our entire path here is even mapped out on the wall. They need us for a specific reason. But who would be doing this? Well, that still remains a mystery. I think it could be Elliot. We even see a different version of him at the beginning of the demo. Or maybe it's Terry, but I don't know, that's just a guess. Regardless, if we shut down our computer, the room disappears, meaning I don't think this room is a part of the demo story. It was put here to target us, the actual player of the demo, hence the screenshots. So what about this paper of a classified research report? It's a study on cognitive behavior through interactive media exposure. It explains how the subject displayed new behaviors after playing a certain game for about 7 days. The subject thinks Elliot is trying to talk to them through unusual ways, like glitching in the game. They believe these are messages from Elliot for only them to see. The subject expresses a need to go to the park within the game to meet Elliot, and that they are unable to distinguish between reality and fiction. I think this paper is also not a part of the demo story. I think this paper is related to the ARG. We are the subject. We think Elliot is trying to talk to us from the game. I quite literally just suggested this. It makes perfect sense. It could also be this kid that's standing with Elliot in the drawing found by this paper. Or I'm completely wrong. Either way, it's so cool. That was the Giggleland demo, and honestly, I thought it was incredible. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you like horror game content like this, please consider subscribing. Also, I have a Discord server, so if you want to chat with me, I recommend joining. And if you want to support the channel more, you can become a member. Don't forget to follow my Twitter @TerrifiedT. Thanks for watching.